Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today. Because again, today we are seeing another massive dump to the downside as Bitcoin continues to consolidate in this descending channel. And on this daily time frame, we are now getting pretty close to the bull market support band for Bitcoin. In fact, as of the time of recording, the bull market support band is roughly at 63.2K and 61.2K. And in the case that you don't know, the bull market support band is a combination of the 20-week simple moving average and the 21-week exponential moving average. Since we are currently in a downtrend as well as now getting a big dump to the downside, you really want to see Bitcoin holding this as a level of support if we do end up going that low. Because the last time we fell below the bull market support band on this weekly time frame, we actually dropped another 13% after falling down below it, and then stayed below the bull market support band for about 2 months. Now, what about the time before that? Well, actually, that was the complete end of the bull market, and we got about a 75% move to the downside for Bitcoin. However, personally, I do not think the move will be similar to this one if we go below the bull market support band right now, because I think we are still in a bull market and there isn't really any clear confirmation yet that the bull market has actually ended, right? So what happened the next time before that? Well, it was actually this move to the downside right here. And after breaking below the bull market support band, we fell another 36% to the downside after already breaking down. This entire move to the downside was like 50%. So coming back to this, what does a 13 to 35% move to the downside look like? Well, 13% would be about 53K, roughly speaking, and 35%. I have to adjust my chart here because it's so crazy. 35% would be about $40,000 for Bitcoin if we confirm a break below the bull market support band right now. But for now, even though those examples I just gave are obviously very bearish, I still think that for now, it looks like Bitcoin is just consolidating in this descending channel, and still think that eventually we are going to break out of the top of this descending channel, after which we can look at much higher price action for Bitcoin. But of course, before we can even consider that, we need to see at the very least a break of this downtrend right here, because so long as this downtrend doesn't get broken, then obviously we are still just going to keep trading lower and lower from here. Although, like I just said, the bull market support band is basically the last line for the bulls that they need to defend in order to actually continue trading to the upside. Now, one thing I do want to note is that on the 4-hour time frame here, so zooming in a little bit more to the short term, Bitcoin is now pretty close to reaching oversold territory. So currently it's at 43, and Bitcoin is in oversold territory whenever the RSI is below 30. And typically when that RSI is oversold, like for example what you saw right here, the RSI reached 21, and after that you typically need to see the RSI reset a little bit to around that 50 level. Now, the way the RSI can actually reset is either by the price just trading sideways, in which case you get something like this, where it slowly trends to that 50 level, or you can get some bullish momentum, in which case it resets more quickly and can go above the 50 level, because whenever we are above 50, we are in uptrend on that time frame. So I would say for now, in the short term, it is important to pay attention to what actually happens on this RSI, because if you do see a continuation to the downside, reaching into oversold territory, then usually at the very least, you get some choppy sideways price action for a little bit in order to reset the RSI. Either way, for now on the 4-hour time frame, we continue to see this hidden bearish divergence play out, which is whenever you have lower highs in the Bitcoin price and higher highs in the RSI momentum indicator, typically implicating that either you get a break from all of that bullish action by trading sideways, or you get some bearish momentum. And so far, that is exactly what we have seen. So now taking a look at the support and resistance levels, Bitcoin is right now trading below this big level of support, sitting from 66 all the way down to 65,000 US dollars, although we have not fully lost it as a level of support because we haven't had this candle close yet on the 4-hour time frame. And sometimes you'll see something like this, where actually the next candle, it just trades right back above in that level. For example, you saw that right here, where we fell below this level of support, but actually just bounced right back above it. So this is an important price level to pay attention to, because if the Bitcoin price trades back inside this level and then back to the downside, this has actually been turned into a level of resistance from there. And then looking at some support levels below that, you do have this 63.6K level, roughly speaking, that potentially you could see the Bitcoin price bounce from. But to be fair, this is a strong downtrend. So therefore, yeah, you just need to keep an eye on this as an important price level. And if you see the Bitcoin price actually breaking below that 63.6K level, well, in that case, the next big level of support is sitting from 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars. So those are some key price levels to pay attention to. And I would add to that these Fibonacci levels right here, because right now Bitcoin is trading below the 0.5 Fibonacci level, sitting at 65.2K. And below that, you also have the 0.382 Fibonacci level, sitting at 63.2K. So if we do not close above this sometime soon, well, in that case, you need to be looking lower here. And that next Fibonacci level, which could act as a level of support as well, is then sitting at 63.2K. But moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat maps, first of all, on this 1 month time frame, you can actually see that Bitcoin has just been sweeping all of this liquidity to the downside right here. And there is still liquidity left, sitting as low as about 63.7K, roughly speaking. Yeah, there is more liquidity down here, let's say as low as 62.5K. However, the liquidity is getting less and less the more we go down. And in the case that you don't know, typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. So where there are the most yellow areas on this chart. And as you can see on this 1 month time frame, most of the liquidity is to the upside, sitting at about as high as 72.2K. So yes, even though we are in this downtrend right now, I still think we are in a bull market, and therefore am expecting that at some point we are going to take out this level of liquidity right here at some point in the future. Although, of course, there can be more downside first in order to sweep all of that downside liquidity before them reversing. And I would also add something to that, because in yesterday's comments, I saw some emotions of people saying, you know, like the elites are controlling the markets or something. Look, even if that is the case, you don't have any control over it. So there is no point in complaining about that or having that narrative in your head, because it's literally just working against you, right? So for me personally, I just take a look at the technical analysis and the important news and what the indicators are telling me. That is what I'm trading on, and not what I think BlackRock is going to do next. And for me personally, so long as we are just trading inside this descending channel and inside this range, to me, it just looks like Bitcoin is consolidating. Now, if you see something like this, where we get a very sharp move down, and we're trading below this descending channel, then yes, some warning signals are going to be flashing for me, because yeah, then potentially we could be discussing if the bull market has ended or not. But for right now, this is just a downtrend that Bitcoin is in a larger consolidation pattern. And as I have been saying for literally weeks, literally months at this point, even when we were trading up here and we broke back below $70,000, I've been saying this every single day. Yes, we can go to the top of this range, but we can also go to the bottom of the range, which is sitting at 57,000 US dollars. And it would not look crazy from a technical analysis perspective if you see the Bitcoin price doing that, because we would still just be in this descending channel and consolidating. So that is my opinion on that. And yes, I'm sorry if this video sounds a bit more passionate or something like that than I usually would, but I just get tired of reading the same people and the same things every single day about, you know, BlackRock manipulating the price, people complaining about the ETFs, because I think there is just no value in that. Because you're just like working against yourself and driving yourself insane, dude. Like, you need to stop doing that. So, but that is besides the point. I'm just going to move on with the analysis here. So taking a look at Ethereum here on the daily time frame, you can see that we did not clear above the 0.786 Fibonacci level, sitting at $4,000. And then we got a move to the downside, now touching the 0.618 Fibonacci level sitting at 33.30. So if you are holding Ethereum or longing Ethereum, you really want to see this hold, because for example, right here, when we traded below it, well, right after that, we just fell right back down to this 0.5 Fibonacci level sitting at 28.60. So I would say for now, this is an important price level to pay attention to. And taking a look at this daily time frame as well for the support and resistance levels, you can now very clearly see that we bounced from this level of support, trading right up to this level of resistance, sitting at 36.50, fell right back into this big level of support once again, sitting from 35.30 all the way down to 34.30, and are now trading below it. So you really want to see Ethereum close back. So you really want to see Ethereum closing 4-hour and daily candle closes back inside this range, because if you see a move like this, trading back inside and getting a rejection, well, this is then a level of resistance from there. And of course, you have the next support level below that as the 0.618 Fibonacci level sitting at 33.30. But below that, the next big level of support is actually going to be from 32.50 all the way down to 31.50 for the price of ETH. Now taking a look at Solana on the daily time frame, recently we bounced from this level of support and traded up to the Fibonacci level that is sitting right here, which I will get to in just a second, but we got a rejection from that Fibonacci level and are now trading below this big level of support, sitting from 150 all the way down to $140. So you really want to see Solana closing a daily candle close in this level right here. But as you can already see from this massive wick, it already traded on lower time frames right into the bottom of this big level of support below it, setting from 133 all the way down to $125 for the price of Sol. So if we do not get those candle closes back inside this level, then yes, we can expect to go lower into this next level of support below it. But if we start to see Solana reversing back to the upside right now, well, there are a couple of levels of resistance to pay attention to. For example, this previous high right here at about $152, and then this level above it sitting at 155, which can also act as a level of resistance. Now, let's take a look at the Fibonacci levels right here, because right now, Solana is trading below the 0.236 Fibonacci level, sitting at $138. So obviously, Solana is in a big downtrend right now. And this is the key price level to pay attention to, because closing this daily candle below might indicate that we need to look at those lower levels of support that I was just talking about. Either way, if we do hold it as a level of support, well, in that case, go back to the upside again to this 0.382 Fibonacci level. But personally, what I'm looking out for is just paying attention to what Bitcoin is doing, because if Bitcoin is looking bearish, well, then I do think this downtrend for Solana will continue. But if Bitcoin gets some bullish momentum, then I think Solana is likely going to do the same. And just taking a look at this simple trend line for Solana here, this is basically the short-term downtrend that Solana is currently in. So here you can see a rejection, here you can see a rejection from there. So if you now see Solana reversing to the upside, then potentially this 145 level could be a big level to pay attention to, because if we get a rejection from there, then likely we have to be more patient and can expect lower price action once again. Now, I'm not saying Solana has to go back to this trend line anytime soon, but I'm just saying if you see it go back to this trend line, then this is important to pay attention to, because like I was saying, rejection means that likely we are going lower. But if you see a break of this exact trend line right here, so breaking above, retesting it as a level of support, and then getting a bounce from there, well, then potentially we are actually breaking the short-term downtrend and can be expecting some higher price action from there. So this is something that I'm paying attention to personally. Either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.